Welcome, everybody. It's the top of the hour. So we're going to go ahead and get started right on time. And without any further ado, my name is Beth Novak. I'm the director of the GovLab and the Burns Center for Social Change. And we're delighted to welcome you to another installment of the Reboot Democracy in the Age of AI lecture series. This is our hopeful conversations where we talk about the ways in which doers, politicians, designers, technologists, and others are using AI for social good. We talk about the challenges and the opportunities and the ways in which we can be thinking about using tech to deepen democracy and strengthen governance. I am thrilled to have today Mayor Chang from Taoyuan, Taiwan. One of Taiwan's not only most populous, but also most innovative cities, with 2.2 million residents. He is going to showcase for us the ways in which Taoyuan is harnessing AI to enhance governance in the city. The city consistently wins awards for its uses of technology, for its smart city strategies, and the ways in which it is using AI to serve its residents better. And we're going to hear about what that means in the AI age. We're also going to have a conversation about how to go beyond using AI to serve residents and how to use AI to govern with residents, as this is our series that focuses in particular on democracy and on ways in which we can build more participatory governance. So we're going to hear from him for a while. He has some nifty slides, which, as you can see, are already showing. But please, we want to get your questions and bring you into the conversation. So I want to encourage people as we go along, please use the chat to have a conversation with one another about the conversation from the mayor. And then, of course, feel free to use the Q&A button to ask him a question. He'll be taking your questions as we get down into the top of the hour. So welcome, everybody. And Mayor, if you are comfortable and have the controls, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Beth. And good evening to you all in the GovLab group. My pleasure. I think I had the pleasure of meeting Beth half a year ago when Beth was in Taiwan, and we met in a seminar, and I did a similar presentation. And Beth was gracious enough to do this again to you all. And so over the last 6 months, I did some slight modifications, enhancement to the presentation, and give you a more updated version of the smart city project that is taking place in Taoyuan. So let me just begin right now. So before I go into the subject, let me just give you a quick glimpse of Taoyuan. Taoyuan is actually if you came to Taiwan, it's actually the city where you landed. It's where the Taiwan International Airport is located. And beyond that, to the left, you see I highlighted some features that Taoyuan is actually the largest industrial city in Taiwan, accounting for over 18% of the industrial output of the country, coming up to over US dollars, over $130 billion. We are also the city receiving the most overseas investment into Taiwan, accounting for 20% of investment of the country. On the right-hand side, you see we're actually the youngest city in Taiwan with an average age of about 41 years old. And we're also the city receiving the highest population growth, both in terms of natural growth and also people moving into Taoyuan. And luckily, last year we received awards in the smart city category of Smart 50. This year we advanced to Smart 20. So this is a really quick look of the features of Taoyuan. With all the features, of course, we are facing with a lot of challenges. For example, with all the industries and all the industrial parks, we are concerned with the pollution of the land, the air, and also the water. Having the international airport in our city, the city is actually also the largest logistic hub in Taiwan. So with all these logistic hubs brings heavy traffic, big trucks and heavy traffic. And again, with growing population, so on the lower left, you see we're having tremendous pressure to build more social housings and new schools as well. And also being a newly developed city, heavy infrastructure development projects are taking place. We're building more metro lines. The railway that existing for over 100 years is now being put underground, and more freeway interchanges are being constructed. So all this construction also makes Taoyuan a very, how do you say it, a very exciting but also very hectic place. Now, coming into the subject of Smart Taoyuan, let me divide my talks into two parts. First of all, I will share with you in terms of the framework. Before going into the projects, how do we prepare the city better in terms of putting up a framework that's sustaining? And then I will go into some project that we engaged in the couple of years, in the last 2 years. Now, the first question we ask ourselves is the current or the government structure before, is that structure sufficient to sustain the government into the future with all the AI technology, new AI technology coming out? And the answer is sorry, no. We need a more adaptive government structure that can really mobilize all the city departments, not just the IT departments, but all the city departments should be mobilized and try to work on topics related to the smart technology. So what we did is, first of all, conventional task force, project-driven task force is set up, which was chaired by myself. And on the lower left, in the red box, you can see the 4 major areas that we're engaging, which I will go into in more detail later. But for a much longer term, we realized that we need to do some reorganization. And here in Taiwan, actually, we have 2 types of government departments or organization. On the top left, we have this, what we call Planning and Evaluation Commission in our city government, which the commission has the power to really cut across different departments in doing policy planning and performance evaluation. And the culture of this commission is that it has the foresight capability to plan new policies that we should adopt in the future. But unfortunately, it lacks the understanding of the new technology, especially IT and AI. On the top right, we have the conventional IT department, which is providing all the IT services and has all the know-how of the IT and perhaps AI, but it lacks the understanding of all the businesses of all the other city departments. So we like to combine these 2 organizations into one and have their advantage combined as well. So we came up with what we call Smart Urban and Rural Commission. Organizationally, it is still a commission that has the authority or the power to cut across all the city departments. But in the meantime, it has the capability from the traditional IT departments that can really implement technical solutions into the policy so that we have the implementation, we have the IT technology know-how to really do the policy implementation. So this is what we did in terms of reorganizing the government structure. Actually, this is the first ever reorganization that ever took place in Taiwan. And so far, I think the impact from this organization is quite good because all the departments, we have 32 departments in the government, city government. And now I think every department knows that they really need to get mobilized into doing some smart technology projects. So this is the first framework item that we did. The second is try to motivate our city workforce to be much more capable in terms of using this IT technology or smart technology into their daily city operations. And so it is actually a digital empowerment process. And to do this, we do that in two phases. First of all, we set up a what we call Smart Taoyuan Academy. We request our city employees by batches to take part, to enroll in this academy. And we provide them with courses of applications, new ideas. So it's pretty conventional, but this academy is set up solely for the city government employees. And then after they took the courses, take the classes in the academy, we held this innovation contest that we invite them to propose whatever they think is useful to really solve the city's problems. And once we have their proposals, we do that. We review those proposals through a committee and pick out the good ones. We present them with awards, and we also set aside budget that that the presenters have the opportunity to really realize their ideas using the budget we set aside. Usually they're very happy because now they have the chance to become a project leader in implementing their ideas. And they are actually not limited to propose ideas only within their department. They can present ideas across the department, whatever new ideas they think is useful for solving the city's problems, we welcome those ideas. And this is also very well received. So we basically train them, give them some basic capabilities, and invite them to propose new ideas. This is how we really, what we call empower our staff. And the next issue is to really invite the private sectors, the companies, the industry to be a partnership with the city government to really push the smart city project ahead. We must acknowledge that it is actually the private companies, private sector companies that's really doing the actual implementation. The city employees came up with ideas, set aside budget, but unfortunately we don't have the time to really carry out the project in details. Actually, so we issue tenders and invite industry to be a partner in really helping us to do the smart city project. Let me give you one example here. We have the metro lines. The metro lines are railroad running through very busy metropolitan area. And occasionally some unknown obstacle will fall on the track and interfere with the moving of the train. This happens during the day, or it may happen during the night. And once the train runs into the obstacle, accident would happen. So we outline this problem, solicit solutions from the companies to see what they can do. This is not yet a very mature solution. There's no mature solution in the market yet. So their proposals are all mostly pilot projects. So some of them propose image detection. Image detection is useful during the daytime, but during the nighttime, even infrared is not useful because the obstacle, the infrared detection usually depending on the temperature, and the obstacle may be a piece of cold steel, and so image detection have limitations. And even in the daytime, when during rainy days, it is not 100% workable. Some companies propose LiDAR, which is useful. And so right now we're combining both, and we're close to the conclusion of the project, and hopefully we'll come up with a much more I wouldn't say perfect, but satisfactory solution to really detect ahead of time obstacles lying on the railroad track. And our hope is that once this solution becomes useful or satisfactory, the company, if they wish, they can use Taoyuan as a successful story if they want to really promote the solution to the overseas market. Our intention is to really brand Taoyuan City to become an AI innovation incubator and become the showcase for AI visions, AI application visions. So this is how we motivate the private sector companies to work with the government, the city government. So the government reorganization, the empowerment of our staff, and also inviting the private sector to take part in the city smart city project. basically we see this is the basic framework that we need to set up before we really go into the projects. Next, I will give you some ideas of the project we took over the last a year and a half. And so the first case I will present here is really not so much as a smart city project, but a project that really is highly related to the health of the citizens, which is a lung cancer screening project expand in a much expanded scale. Last year alone, we screened over 20,000 citizens for early lung cancer. And this year we are doing another 20,000. I'll take the sample of last year. So last year, with all the 20,000 cases screened, we identify over 1,000 positive cases, meaning that they need to track their lung health occasionally. And over 100 cases need immediate surgery to take out the problem in their lung. By introducing this early lung cancer screening, the local hospitals is facing with a much larger pressure in really screening and doing the, we do this using the LDCT, low dose computer tomography. And as I said, the hospital are facing with a lot of pressure because they have a much bigger loading of this screening. What we did is we provide them, the city government provide each participating hospital with AI-assisted software that can really screen the image before the doctor do. So the doctor needs only to really do the final judgment. The AI software would do the pre-screening for them, and that reduces their loading a lot. And so the doctors are very, very happy. And we are working with both universities in Taiwan and both, hopefully some university in the States, try to leverage the data that we gather from all this. This is a large number, 20 cases per year, as I said. So the big data we gather, we think is very helpful in advancing the public health sector, especially identifying high-risk groups in terms of lung cancer. And we continue to do this year. So this is one of the first project we carry out. Next, I will introduce some project related to environmental protection. The first one being try to reduce the noise from modified motorcycles or modified cars. For some reason, car owners or motorcycle owners like to modify their exhaust pipes, and especially during late evening when they are riding through the street with their powerful motorcycle and creating a large noise. It is really an annoyance to the residents. So what we did is we came up with this solution that we set up a database. Take motorcycle, for example, scooters and motorcycles, for example. We set up a image database of exhaust pipes, both legal exhaust pipes, illegal exhaust pipes. And on the lower right, you see there's a picture of scooters riding through the street. We pick up the image of the exhaust pipe. In the meantime, we pick up the license plate. And we match that with the database and try to determine if the exhaust pipe is an illegal modified pipe or legal one. If it turned out to be illegal, we would issue a notice to the owner and requesting the owner to come out to a station to do a secondary check to make sure that if the exhaust pipe is legal or not. On the right-hand side, you see a row of motorcycles. That's a picture taken from a police patrol car. So the police patrol car needs simply to drive through the street with 20 or 30 mile speed. And along the way, it picks up all the license plate and also the image of the exhaust pipes. And so the speed is real time. The real time checking is really efficient. We can identify illegal pipes and sometimes stolen motorcycles too. And so this is really helpful and makes the identification of illegal exhaust pipes much more efficient. So this is one thing we did in terms of environmental protection. again, and then in the environmental protection side, you see some slides here. On the left, you see water hoses spraying water onto a construction site. This is a large-scale construction site, and during a windy day, the dust are being blown off into the air. So we put in some camera to check the air pollution from the dust. Once the dust content from the image reaches a triggering point, we would trigger the water hoses to spray the water to the construction site, try to reduce the dust content. In the middle is actually a image showing the cameras monitoring the chimneys from the factories. And so we know the output from the chimney, what is the normal image, what is the normal state of the chimney output. And we monitor the output from the chimney. And once the output from the chimney changes in color or in intensity, we would trigger a ticket that dispatch our staff to actually the factory to do a secondary check to see what caused the output from the chimney to become different from the normal state. On the upper right side, a similar application on the water in streams. And you see in this picture that somehow the water in the stream is being polluted into a yellow color. So again, that would trigger a ticket and dispatch our environmental protection staff to go to on-site to really check the pollution. So we do not really need the citizens to call a hotline. We've actually put in all these monitors, cameras, and monitor all the dust content, the chimney output, and the water in the river or streams to make sure that it's not being polluted. Next one is the safety in the construction site. I mentioned earlier that we have a large number of construction sites and we're concerned about the safety of the workers. Some workers doesn't like to wear their helmet. Some workers doesn't like to put on their reflective vest. So we put in cameras in most of the construction site and try to identify if the workers are wearing the helmet. And on the upper right side, you see a worker there has been identified that he's not wearing the helmet. So that we will send a notice to the construction site remotely and ask the manager of the site to really try to correct the worker to really be putting on all the safety gears. So this is an aspect that we're doing to really improve the safety on the construction site for all the workers. And then comes to the topic of traffic signal control. I think this is an area that every city try to really leverage the smart technology. And so is Taoyuan. So we collect the traffic flow information on some busy intersections and try to set up a model and try to predict busy congested intersection traffic flows. And when a number of intersections facing congested traffic, we would try to smooth out the traffic by adjusting the green and the red light phases and try to smooth out the flows. Our experiment result is, I think it's okay. It's satisfactory that usually the green and the red light cycle is about 1 minute. And during the 1 minute cycle, we were able to reduce the waiting time by about 10 seconds for the vehicles. And this is being carried out in some intersections near the freeway interchange. And the car owners are somewhat happy that they don't have to wait a full minute. Sometimes they need to wait only half a minute or a little bit over half a minute to wait for the congested traffic to smooth out. And again, in the congested traffic issue, we try to solve the ambulance clearway issue. Of course, we all know that ambulance has the right of way when they're carrying emergency patients. But if an ambulance is stuck in a congested traffic, even they have the right of way, it's useless. it just got stuck. So what we did is we tried to set up on the lower right, you see a picture. And in the picture, you see a small purple square, which is the location of the hospital. And above the hospital, we set up a red region bounded by what we call electronic fence. Electronic fence. When ambulance cross over the electronic fence and entering this red area, we assume that the ambulance is traveling toward the hospital. And we anticipate, we try to plan a route, traveling route for the ambulance from somewhere in the red square into the hospital. We anticipate the traveling route, and we smooth out all the traffic along the route by allowing green light all the way. So the ambulance can travel to the hospital in much quicker time. And our experiment result on the upper right, you can see, usually the traveling time for the ambulance from somewhere in the red square, red area to the hospital is about 4 minutes. And once we put in this electronic fence and allow the traveling paths to be all green, the average traveling time is reduced to only a little bit over 2 minutes. And the record-breaking time is actually only 45 seconds. So it's amazing improvement from over about 4 minutes to down to 2 minutes, and sometimes within 1 minute. So this really helps a lot in allowing the ambulance to travel to the hospital in much quicker time, and hopefully that will save some lives. So this is some application we tried so far. And next, I'll also present some, okay. Here's another case, again, using the AI technology in the image detection, simply to identify road defect, either cracks or potholes. We need to distinguish the cracks or potholes from stains. So, well, I guess most of you know that image detection, image identification is a very mature field in AI. So we simply put in this identification mechanism and allow a patrol car to drive through the road and pick out the images. And once the images are identified to be cracks or potholes, ticket would be issued to dispatch our repair crew, maintenance crew, to really repair the road. So this is another application. And so accuracy of this kind of application, down the bottom, you see the accuracy of this applications can be over 90%. So this reduces a lot of manpower to really pick out the faulty roads for repairs. Next, I will give you some examples of how we really improve the citizens' life in terms of convenience. Again, coming to all the constructions, Taoyuan has a large number of international workers from Southeast Asia. For example, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and those international workers, they don't speak Mandarin. And so when they take the MRT, we set up a counter in the MRT station, metro station, and put in this AI translation, two-way translation. So far, we put in the two-way translation for 7 languages, as I mentioned, Indonesian, Thailand, and Vietnamese. And so the international workers, when they come to the metro station and need some services, but they cannot speak Mandarin, they can talk to the AI translation station, and we have a local staff there to really try to see what they need in terms of assistance. In the center, we have this QR code posted in many locations in metro stations. In taking metro, you see occasionally that some passengers will bring in some coffee, and accidentally he spilled the coffee. So he spilled the breakfast. And so if a passenger sees some cleaning is needed at the train or at the metro station, he simply needs to take out his cell phone, swipe the QR code, And then that would also issue a ticket for cleaners to go to on site, either on the train or in the metro station to clean up the mess. And on the right side, you see a image taken from the metro station. And what we did is that we tried to identify passengers with wheelchairs or with large luggages, because this metro line is connecting the international airport with the train station. So there's a large number of passengers carrying large luggages because they just got off from a plane or heading for the airport to take the plane. So once we identify wheelchair passengers or passengers with large luggages moving toward the elevator, we would dispatch the elevator to that particular floor. So when the passenger reaches the elevator, hopefully the elevator is there to already there to wait for the passenger. And so this really improves the efficiency of the elevator operation. And the passengers are also very happy. They think this elevator is very smart, that the elevator knows in advance to wait for them at that floor. We have a citizen hotline we call 1999. And so the citizens will call in, and usually the operator will pick up the phone, try to see what the problem is, and try to find the solutions in our database and give the reply to the caller. And it takes time, especially in searching through the database. So we work with Microsoft and using their OpenAI. And the OpenAI would also listen to the incoming call, voice identification, convert that into text, and then help to search the database. So this is all carried out by the AI module instead of the operator. And so the AI module listens to the incoming call and identify the issue and search for the database and present a database solution to the operator. Hopefully the AI module identify the problem correctly, and the operator confirms that and simply pick out the database replies and give it to the caller. And so on the average, it saves about 10% time in each, reduces about 10% in each calling. So this is another citizen hotline module. Finally, I will present a case here that is very challenging. On the picture on the left, you see Old Town section in Taoyuan. The Old Town section is really messy, and we are doing renewal project to the Old Town section. And of course, we met with a lot of resistance from the residents. They think they have been living here for a long time, a number of years. They don't want to see the change because they're so used to the environment. And we told them that renewal is good for the real estate, but some of them just doesn't want to comply with the renewal. So what we did is we did what we call digital twin of the renewal, before and after the renewal, and showed the image of the renewal, after renewal, to the citizen, to the residents, and convince them that after the renewal, you have this really good-looking neighborhood, and usually a large number of the residents would be convinced by this digital twin images. In the center, we are building a number of social housing, and the social housing is not meant to be sold. It is to be rent to low-income residents, and so we need a lifelong maintenance mechanism to manage the social housing. And so what we did was we built this building information model, BIM, which I mentioned down in the bottom, and really digitize all the information of the social housing, the construction aspect and the application aspect. For example, appliances, electric appliances, what the electric appliances are being used, what are the fire suppression appliances that's been used for building maintenance. So this is another application, what we call envision the future with the citizens. So in conclusion, what we're trying to do with all the smart city project is we're trying to provide our citizens with a better commute environment, education environment, employment environment, and eventually a very happy life environment for the citizens in Taoyuan. And this year, we propose our solutions to a number of international contests. The intention is really try to position ourselves because we really don't know if we are doing a good job or not. The best way to judge if we are doing a good job is to try to enter some contest. So we package all the projects I mentioned to you earlier and to some international contests. And last year, we are the winner of the international award, what they call the Smart 50, the top 50 awards. This year, we advanced that to the top 20. What makes us really happy is that, the Gartner Consulting Group. The Gartner has a contest called Eye on Innovation Award for Government. And they do this award contest in regions. And this year, in the Asia Pacific region, Taoyuan received both the top prize and the second prize, which, according to Gartner, is record-setting because no city in the past ever received both awards, both top awards. So this is a very happy event. And also we're the winner of the WISTA Global ICT Excellence Award. So we're happy that this year alone, we received 17 international and local awards in the smart city area. So I think we're doing an okay job, and we're trying to do a better job next year. And so up to now, I appreciate your time, and I'm happy I have this opportunity to share with you what we did in terms of overhauling the framework and also the project we engaged. And I hope this is useful for your innovation thoughts, and I welcome any comment and question from you. And hopefully in a year or two, I hope we can have more even challenging applications for my sharing to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I hope we can discuss some of those new ideas with you. There are already a number of questions in the Q&A. So I'm going to just be brief to get things started. First, just a quick clarifying question, and then maybe something a little more challenging. In terms of how all this AI is getting built, in one case, you mentioned an OpenAI product. Can you tell us, and we will end the slide sharing, I'll just ask the team if we can do that so we can see you. Okay. You mentioned an OpenAI product. Who is building all of this? Are these commercial models from the big tech companies? Are they open models coming out of universities? If you can just give us some brief characterization of who's creating all of this tech.
Okay, we work with a certified partner from Microsoft. Microsoft in Taiwan, they certify a number of companies that they think they know Microsoft technology good enough and be capable of carrying out their product, in applying the product. So Microsoft gave us a list of their certified partners. We did a tender, and one of their partners won the bid and worked with that. So it's actually a development project because according to Microsoft, they didn't have an existing solution to do that. So we built a database. Well, actually, the database has been built by ourselves a long time ago. And we are accumulating the database. We're expanding the database by in-calling, by coming in calls. But the comprehension of the incoming question and picking out the subject of the question is something we did with the Microsoft certified partner.
I see. So these are being developed using things like Microsoft Copilot, OpenAI, through vendors, as opposed to being developed by, I assume, in collaboration with agency partners and people who've been through the Taoyuan Academy.
No, it's well, it is really proposed by our staff in who has gone through the trainings in Taoyuan Academy. Some of the staff in the academy are operators or managers of the citizen hotline. And so they thought this AI technology could be helpful in reducing the operators' calling time. So they
know
once they're
defining the project.
Yes, they're defining the problem, and we issue the tender.
So obviously AI means many, many different things, and you showed us
Mhm,
examples of computer vision
mhm,
projects. You showed us some examples that do involve predictive algorithms. Is
mhm.
there any sense of preference around the kinds of tools that you want to prioritize? In other words, let's call it more well-developed, safer tools that involve things like
Uh-huh.
computer vision, or
Yes.
are you also willing to do predictive algorithms? And if you do that, how do you
Hmm.
make sure that an algorithm is really doing what it
Yeah.
says it does? Do you impose any
Yes.
kind of requirements of
Hmm.
explainability or
Hmm.
transparency to ensure
Hmm.
that a predictive
Yes.
algorithm or any kind of
Yes.
AI
Hmm.
does what it's supposed to do?
Okay, good question. Obviously, most of the application, most of the examples I presented are related to image detection, right? So it's a analytic AI. And as I mentioned, image detection is quite mature already. So that most of that is under the analytic AI. For predictive AI, I think the example would be the traffic signal control. We collect enough car flow, traffic flow data, and allow the AI to try to predict what if a congestion should comes up again, what we should do to really adjust the green light, red light phases. So this is predictive AI. And before we put that into practice, we build a what we call digital twin of this neighborhood of the intersections, and do simulations in the digital twin, and make sure that when we give the digital twin different cases of congested traffic flow and see what happens. And then once we did that, we move that into the real scene, the physical scene, and try to observe that the effect. And of course, there's still manual enhancement needed after we put that into the real scene. But so far, that has been helpful. So far, we have not done any cases in generative AI. I shouldn't say completed any cases. We're doing some generative AI, trying to, well, the city council wouldn't like that, but we're trying to use generative AI to come up with replies to the questions of city councils. When we go to the city council twice a year in city council session, we're trying to use our weekly report, internal weekly report, and try to generate replies to the city council questions. So we're doing experiment on that. We haven't really put that into practice yet, but in terms of generative AI, this is one pilot project we're engaging. But as you said, most of the cases so far are related to image detection and under the analytic AI category.
Great. We had some wonderful questions in the Q&A, but I'm going to invite
Mhm.
some of the people asking them to do so
Mhm.
out loud. I'm going to start first with, I see this Santiago Garces. Santi Garces, the CTO of Boston, is
Mhm.
here. So Santi, let's start with you. CIO, sorry, I always get them confused. But
Okay.
why don't you jump in and then we'll take our next question. After that, we'll go over to Dan.
Hi, Santiago.
Absolutely.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, Mayor. Thank you again for taking some time talking with us.
My pleasure.
Um, and again, I'm the CIO of the city of Boston. I was curious to hear a little bit, and you mentioned the new commission that has this purpose. I was curious to see how you
Mhm.
think about from a financial standpoint and around, yeah, like you're bringing a lot of projects and interesting technology, but just thinking about like how you
Mhm.
think about going from pilots to a full scale operation, like how I said that you're
Mhm.
thinking about, there's investments and additional risk and maybe even changes in staffing. And so I'm just curious to see how you're thinking about kind of like the full life cycle and how many of these projects are going from kind of prototype and idea to become full scale.
Okay. All the project I showed you today are already in full operation. Okay. Except the one on the railroad track. On the railroad track, it is nearing the completion. We hope to complete the project by the end of this year. But other than that, all the projects I showed you are in full operation. And so, of course, financially, we need to set aside budget, but I think the city council is gracious enough that they pass a budget and allow us to set aside enough budget. Actually, for most of the project, for each project, the budget is not really that huge. In terms of project, I would say maybe a project would cost, in terms of US dollars, I would say 200,000 US dollars per project. I would say that's from my gut feeling, that's an average. So that's not actually that much. And so I think many of the companies that work with us are willing to, not make too much profit because they think working with us in this stage is good for their reputation or good for their experience and training. So they're willing to compromise on their budget. And so we're happy that we can accomplish all that. And so usually all those projects, because I took office of the mayor's office about 2 years ago, and we kick off this smart city program about 18 months ago, okay? So all these projects are carried out in the past 18 months using the budget from last year and this year. And so that's a quick reply to your question.
Great. Maybe now let me bring in Professor Dan Jackson, who heads the New Law Lab. And Dan, the question you're asking is quite similar to that from Paula Maria Espinosa. So we'll count you as asking for two.
Sure. Thank you so much, Beth.
Okay.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being here. What a excellent opportunity. I'm loving this session, and thank you to the Burn Center for hosting it. You've talked 18 months. What a remarkable number of initiatives that you've been able to launch in 18 months. Congratulations on that. I'm leading a project here at the law school that is working to develop guidelines for municipal decision makers in the United States to help them make decisions as they balance the potential of artificial intelligence-powered smart cities tools with protecting human rights. And the human rights of urban residents. So, recognizing, of course, that conceptions of human rights and data privacy can be very different depending on where you are on the globe, right? I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on, what steps have you been taking? What guidelines did you provide out into the various different departments that you direct to ensure that the AI smart city tools being deployed are respecting human rights to privacy or otherwise, whatever other human rights you thought were most important for your urban residents?
Okay, let me take the case of lung cancer screening. I think that case, if you talk about sensitivity of citizens' privacy or sensitivity of citizens' private data, I think the lung cancer project is the most highly related because it relates to their medical record, right? So before we engage the citizens to take part in the screening process, we come up with a agreement they need to sign that they agree the city government to utilize the data, of course, after de-identification, of course, okay, to utilize the data for public health research. And so that's the first thing we did. We came up with an agreement being reviewed by our legal department and have the participant to sign that. And interesting enough, the director of our public health department, the director who himself is a doctor, okay, a physician, a doctor, he enrolled in the law school, and then he took this project, early lung screening project, the handling of privacy data, as a topic of his doctor's dissertation. And he just received his PhD degree in law using this lung screening privacy data. How do you come up with much more comprehensive and protective mechanism in handling all those privacy data. So he just completed his doctor's dissertation using his lung cancer as a real case. And from his doctor's dissertation, he came out with a much comprehensive handling mechanism for privacy data. And so I think this is a really good example. Of course, I must confess that before we engage in the project, we don't have this kind of a comprehensive mechanism, but we do that on a pilot and experimental stage and get the understanding and agreement from all the participants in the screening. Later, after this director received his doctor's degree, and we actually took the essential part of his dissertation, and right now we're coming up with a more complete mechanism in handling privacy data now.
So I'm gonna if there are follow-ups or further discussions, please let's continue to have them in the chat, and if we have time, we'll bring in some more conversations on this ethics and privacy question. But I'm going to go over on a related note to Shreya. If you want to unmute and ask your question, Shreya is one of our fabulous AI for Impact students who take a sabbatical from their university education to build AI for cities and states full time. So we'd like to send some of them to you at some point. So Shreya, over to you.
Shreya.
Yeah,
Hi,
hello.
Shreya.
Thank you, Beth, for the introduction. And hi, Mayor. Thank you so much for this talk. It's been super interesting. I'm curious to know what the reactions from the public have been in your city about just this overall AI implementation. Do you think people are excited, or do you think the technology is making them nervous? What have been the reactions so far?
Well, I think an average citizen doesn't care the technology, what technology you use to improve the performance of, say, the traffic, right? So they give us feedback. For example, in reducing the waiting time at busy intersections for the car flow, their feedback was they're very happy. And then they would ask the question, how did you do that? And so we have this traffic control center. We open up the traffic control center and invite maybe schools, especially schools, invite schools, students, or interest group to really have a tour of our traffic control center and show them how what we did to improve the traffic flow. And in the process, of course, we mentioned that we have this AI module that's helping, and that so far they're very happy that that we're using this new technology. They think they're very happy. They think they're somewhat honored that they live in a city that know how to use this kind of advanced technology. So far we haven't encountered really big issue. I think the issue we mentioned are really, as I mentioned in replying to the law professor, Dan, that the privacy issue related to the medical record, that's one issue that we need to pay attention to. And so I answered that question already. The second is the concern. I mentioned another case, the concern from the residents on city renewal. The city renewal project, we encountered some resistance. So we used the digital twin to allow them to show the future vision, and they're very happy that we put this digital model in front of them, and they are able to comprehend what their neighborhood look like in the future. So I think most of them, the feedback from most of them are positive. They are very happy to see and be part of the new technology.
Mayor, let me just interject here to ask you, we've talked a lot about AI for citizen services. I'm curious, besides the digital twinning that you mentioned in the urban planning example, have there been efforts yet to start to use AI to have more conversations with citizens? One of the most exciting uses in my mind is the ability to use AI to make it easier to have those conversations, whether it's talking from government to citizens or getting citizens talking to one another. Is that kind of participation on the radar screen?
So far, we do not intend to use the AI module to face the citizens directly. So far, we limit the application to be assistance to our real human, like the citizen hotline. I think once we put that AI module into facing the citizens directly, they might have some concern. Of course, the example of language translation, translating Indonesian or translating Vietnamese into Mandarin, I think that needs AI. I think they can fully understand and fully agree with that. But we also have a step alongside the AI translation module, to conduct the translation. So answering your question, right now, we do not intend to put AI as the direct interface with the citizens. It's an assistant to our staff, especially in the future. As I mentioned, we're experimenting generative AI to come up with replies to city council members. If we should be successful in doing that, we wouldn't want the city council members to know that. We wouldn't want city council members to know that we anticipate their answers already. Somehow I think they would be hurt in their self-esteem. Yeah.
Let's squeeze in. If we can, let's squeeze in one or two more quick questions. We know it's the start of a busy day for you, so when you have to go, you'll let us know. But Jake,
Yes.
let's bring you in here.
I think I can still allow 3 to 4 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
I was wondering, because you talked about how so many cities are trying to build these similar projects. Have you collaborated at all with other cities or other projects where you've built off the work of other places, or is it all kind of built from scratch?
We built all the applications from scratch. We did go to many international seminars, forums, and try to understand what other cities are doing. But to be frank, I think as I said, most of the applications are related to image detection, which more or less are mature in AI. So those applications we built from scratch, but they are not tremendous effort. So all the applications are from scratch, but we did took part in many international forums to try to see what other cities are doing and try to learn from them.
You've been asked in the chat by somebody, and I think we all have this question. Given how mature some of these technologies are, why have you been so much more successful and efficient and doing so many more projects than others have been able to do? What's the secret to your success?
I think, my background, I didn't have the chance to give you all on my background. I'm an engineer. I'm a civil engineer. I was a civil engineer, but I digressed into IT. I work with a computer company called Acer. I think some of you know Acer. I also work with Google. I was Google's director for Asia in cloud data centers. So I have all these technical backgrounds. And so all my city departments, my city employees know they have a technical background as mayor. And so they are and I host the monthly meeting and check the progress of each project. So I think all the city workforce, the city employees knows my background, knows how serious I am in pushing the small city. And so I think all of them are very, very serious too. I must also confess that in the beginning, some of them are really watching my attitude. Am I just what we call 3 minutes hot or very hot for a long time? And after a year, they know I'm very, very serious. So I think every one of them got very serious too. I think it's an attitude problem from both myself and the engaged employees. So I think that's very helpful in coming up with all the results today.
What's the project you haven't done yet that you most want to do? And what's the one project you won't ever do?
The railroad track project I mentioned, we hope we can finish by the end of this year. We are at the starting phase of a cycle. We are now identifying more new projects. So some of the project, I'm unable to share with you the new projects because we haven't come up with a full set yet. But now, right at the end of this year, we're coming up with a tentative list of the new project that we will be engaging next year. So maybe sometime next year I can share with you more. And I mentioned that I'm reluctant, I'm hesitant to really make AI the direct interface with the citizens. So we need to see on that too. Yeah.
Well, if there are ways in which this group and others can contribute to that list of projects, I think people are excited by your willingness to experiment, and you have lots of people here and in our networks who are eager for more communities that want to try the kinds of things that you're doing. I feel like we've just scratched the surface in hearing what you're doing, and hopefully this conversation will continue. So I just want to thank you for being so generous with your time and with your energy. Yes, Santi's posting in the chat that we hope to do AI for Impact in Taoyuan and bring you some wonderful fellows to work with you. I see also Helen Yu is here, whom we want to thank for making the introduction to you in the first place. So hopefully we can get some of her colleagues at Taipei Normal to join us in this effort. And to continue the kinds of experiments that you're doing to make people's lives better using AI. If you enjoyed this talk, please come back and join us in January when we'll talk to the head of AI for the Library of Congress. In February, we'll be talking to DeepMind researchers who have been building tools for helping to facilitate consensus building and conversations with citizens. And Daniel Ho from Stanford will be joining us in March to talk about using AI with the city of Santa Clara to reduce racial disparities and racial covenants. So come back and join us.